Hi everyone, Shane Raftery here. I'm fortunate enough to have married into the Loader family because Helen, Bill Loader's daughter, said yes once many years ago. Like everyone else, we have been challenged with the many restrictions necessitated by this worldwide pandemic. But as I see it, every challenge has opportunities if you look for them. By August 2020, my self-employed status had changed to self-unemployed as phone calls became a rarity. I realised one day that I was watching the ABC News, also known as the COVID-19 update, for the third time consecutively. I was concerned this was not helping or even would be having a negative impact on my outlook on life. So I decided to look for a meaningful way to fill in some time. I have always loved pizzas, but could rarely justify the expense of an authentic wood-fired pie. With this in mind, I searched for pizza ovens online and found that they cost in excess of $2,000. My next thought was, if the Romans could do it, it must be on the internet. The search for a good design and instructions alone filled in a considerable time. After my plan was decided on, I turned to acquiring the necessary materials at the best or no cost, scrounging solid red bricks from relatives and friends, pallets from the side of the road, etc., etc. Some brick kiln cement products, lime, and a few other full-price retail purchases, and we were up and about. The design was to build a table to support an inflatable exercise ball. That's where the pallets came into play. Once the ball is mounted, a front porch frame is constructed and joined to the ball. Next step is a mould for the floor of the oven, and now we go to a wire frame to act like Rio mesh in a cement driveway. The design was to allow a wall thickness of 90mm with the wire frame to be mounted in the middle of it. I must mention that the complexity of calculating volume of a semisphere. We're all more used to working out cubic measurements of rectangles and squares. Pop a few calculations involving pi and radius and the eyes start to water a bit. I had never appreciated all the years studying geometry as much as I did when I started this project. Simply work out how much kiln cement to mix up, get the calculator out and decide the volume of the inner and the outer half, then apply half thickness over the ball and the porch frame. Next, casually place the wire frame over that and complete application of the second layer. Now comes the easy bit. Leave the dome to dry out completely. I had read of projects where the oven cracked irreparably on first use. The one thing in common with these failures was that they used it in a short time after making it. I left this one 6 weeks before moving it. More work to be done. Choose where to mount the oven. I had an area on my brick deck that suited perfectly. I had to remove a couple of sleepers and build a brick edge, lay a foundation, and build a brick stand. This is the first brick arch that I've ever made. Once again, framing and supports were made of free wooden pallets. The most nervous part of the whole project was taking the dome and base off the pallet table and moving them to the brick stand. Base onto stand, then dome onto base, joined by kiln mortar and left to cure for another fortnight. The next step was the one that annoyed the neighbours most. I priced brick tiles and found they were going to cost me more than the rest of the spend. I decided to cut solid red bricks into 15mm tiles, and after a few cuts, found that I was at risk of losing a limb. So I made a foot clamp to hold the bricks still while I cut them with a 270mm diamond cut-off wheel. The 30 litres of brick dust created from cutting 250 tiles was used to make a heat-proof mortar to set the tiles onto the dome. Starting with the front porch, I then laid brick tiles. The cat ordered a seafood special but had to wait 2 weeks before we fired the oven. Being a realist, the only invites to this first firing were Helen and a box of tissues just in case. The first firing was a complete success, beautiful wood-fired pizza, a capricciosa for the purists, and an Hawaiian for a friend of Helen's. Here is what any of you can enjoy should you choose to visit.